I'm Jeremy Peckham, and I've been a fellow since 1995. I've spent most of my career in AI, specifically developing speech and natural language understanding technology as well as their application. Recently, I've been working on an AI harms and governance framework for responsible, or what some prefer to call trustworthy AI. The first part of that framework is a taxonomy of AI applications and potential harms. This diagram shows 6 main areas of potential harm against examples of applications of AI. The 6 areas are loss of jobs and the dignity of work, then loss of truth and reality, for example, the output of a generative AI and large language models raise the question of what is truth, especially when they are used to generate fake news and videos. Then we have loss of cognitive acuity and creativity, for example, when generative AI is used for story writing or creative art. Loss of moral autonomy occurs when we allow a self-drive vehicle, as an example, to make life or death decisions. And then the loss of authentic relationships has been much documented, particularly around the area of social media. And last but not least, the loss of freedom and privacy, for example, through the use of facial recognition for surveillance, or the harvesting of vast amounts of data from the internet, including copyright material for the creation of large language models. This taxonomy of harms is then set orthogonal to 4 pillars of governance. The transparency pillar should begin, in my view, with a risk assessment looking at the potential harms for any given application of AI in the taxonomy. Explainability is the weakest pillar of the governance framework because it is virtually impossible for a statistical machine learning system to explain its output to a user. Accountability and justice are the pillars that are focused on the regulation and legislation that might be required to define who is responsible for an AI application's outcomes, and also to enable justice where individuals are harmed, for example, by the use of a decision support system. Let's look at how this framework might work for autonomous vehicles and weapons. The risks illustrated on the diagram are mainly to cognitive acuity, for example, the loss of driving skills and critical thinking, but also moral agency when we allow a self-driving vehicle to make life and death decisions. The accountability and justice pillars show the regulation and legislation that might be needed to mitigate these risks. Of course, not all applications are a risk to humanity. In fact, there is a spectrum of risk from benign right the way through to applications that we might choose to avoid. So how do we evaluate risks? I think that a starting point is asking the right questions. On the side of opportunities and benefits of the use of this technology, we need to ask, what does this tech do for us? What is gained? The usual answer to these questions, of course, is convenience, efficiency, and progress, or what some call technological solutionism. That is, technology can solve all our problems. On the threat side of the scales, we need to ask, but what does this tech do to us? What is lost? Putting it another way, we could ask, in what ways does this technology dumb down what it means to be a human being? Now, this framework is novel in setting out a set of specific harms for different applications of artificial intelligence, rather than providing a list of more general ethical considerations. And I'd welcome suggestions for improvements. Perhaps even some might like to try using the framework in real situations. See you in the breakout.